Most of us believe that happiness is something rare and distant, something that only arrives after we reach a major milestone, completely change our lives, or wait until one day when everything finally gets better. But the truth we rarely talk about is this: your brain is not designed to wait for big turning points. It is shaped every single day, every single moment, by small actions so subtle you often overlook them. You may be living a life that isn't objectively bad, yet still feel tired, empty, or unable to hold on to lasting joy. You try to change everything at once, reading books, setting goals, making grand plans, only to feel discouraged when you can't sustain them. This isn't because you're weak, it's because you're starting too big. From a neuroscience and psychological perspective, happiness is not a random emotion. It is a trained state. The brain is capable of rewiring itself, but it responds most strongly to small, repeated, intentional signals. A slow breath, a tiny task completed, a moment when you pause and allow yourself to do nothing more. This video is not about dramatic transformations or magical formulas. Instead, you'll discover 10 micro-habits, each taking only a few seconds, yet grounded in clear scientific evidence for regulating the nervous system, emotions, and your sense of control over life. If you're looking for a gentler, more sustainable way to cultivate happiness, without pressure, without forcing yourself, then perhaps these very small things are exactly where you should begin. Before we dive into the main content, don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe to the channel so you can receive more meaningful videos every day.
Habit 1. Complete one very small task. Happiness doesn't always come from big breakthroughs. More often, it is triggered by a very small sense of completion. In a busy day, your brain is constantly stretched by unfinished tasks, unmet goals, and the feeling of not enough. This lingering incompleteness quietly drains your mental energy, leaving you exhausted even when you haven't done anything particularly demanding. The first habit, completing one very small task, is a simple yet powerful way to break that loop. This isn't about doing more. It's about choosing one small action with a clear ending, folding a piece of clothing, replying to a lingering message, clearing one corner of your desk. When it's done, your brain receives a crucial signal: I finished something. Even the smallest sense of completion creates a positive neurological trigger. It restores a sense of control, something many people are missing in modern life. When you prove to yourself that you can finish something, your inner trust is rebuilt. The brain registers achievement, releases a subtle sense of ease, and more importantly, opens the door to motivation for the next action. What makes this habit special is that it requires no strong willpower and very little time. You don't need to wait for inspiration or aim for perfection. Just begin and finish. Each small completion quietly lays the foundation for sustainable inner happiness, where you feel in charge of your life rather than being swept along by it. One small task completed today can become the emotional anchor for the entire day ahead.
Habit 2. The 3-second smile. Emotions don't only come from circumstances, they are also initiated by the body. In many moments of life, you're not truly sad or genuinely happy. You're simply numb, drained, and lacking vitality. And it's precisely in those moments that a 3-second smile becomes a small but powerful switch for waking up the brain. This habit is so simple you might doubt it. Gently smile for 3 seconds, even if you don't feel happy yet. No forcing, no reason required, just a soft smile, enough to move the facial muscles, long enough for the body to register the signal. The brain doesn't clearly distinguish between a real smile and a reasonless one. What it responds to is movement. When you smile, even briefly, the nerves associated with positive emotion are activated. The body begins releasing neurotransmitters linked to ease and relaxation. This isn't positive thinking. It's a direct biological response that lifts your emotional state by one small notch almost immediately. You can practice this habit anywhere,
In the morning in front of the mirror, while waiting at a red light, when opening your laptop, or in the middle of a stressful day. Just 3 seconds, but 3 seconds in which you intentionally tell your body, I'm okay. What matters isn't how happy you feel, but that you're learning to guide your emotions instead of being dragged by them. By repeating the 3-second smile daily, you train your brain to access a more positive state faster, more gently, and more naturally. A very small smile may not change your circumstances, but it can change how you move through them.
Habit 3. The relaxing breath. In the rush of daily life, breathing is often the first thing we forget and also the fastest key to bringing the body back to safety. When pressure builds up, the brain automatically switches into stress mode, speeding up the heart, crowding the mind, and destabilizing emotions. But with just a few seconds of intentional breathing, you can actively reverse that state. The relaxing breath is a small habit with a direct impact on the nervous system. You don't need to change your thoughts or analyze your feelings. Simply inhale slowly through your nose for 4 seconds, then exhale gently through your mouth for 6 to 8 seconds. A longer exhale sends a clear signal to the brain. The danger has passed and the body can let go. The practice is simple and discreet. Sit upright, relax your shoulders, and place your attention on the air moving in and out of your body. You don't need to breathe deeply, just slowly and steadily. Whether you're at your desk, in traffic, or in the middle of a hectic day, this habit can be done quietly. The effect of relaxing breath is not a fleeting emotional high, but a lasting biological adjustment. It calms the nervous system, reduces stress, lowers anxiety, and brings the body back into balance. Many studies on happiness and neurological health show that slow breathing is a direct bridge between the body and inner peace. As you practice this habit daily, your brain learns a new reflex: calm before reaction. And in a world that constantly demands faster and stronger responses, the ability to slow down at the right moment is a form of strength.
Habit 4. Touch nature every day. Humans were not designed to live separated from nature, yet modern life has quietly severed that connection. Screens, concrete, and packed schedules keep the nervous system in a constant state of alert, even when there's no real threat. That's why even the smallest daily contact with nature holds more balancing power than you might expect. Touching nature doesn't require time or space. You don't need to go into the forest or change your lifestyle. Simply touch a leaf. Let sunlight brush your skin, feel the wind, or dip your hand into cool water, even for a few seconds. These seemingly insignificant moments carry a clear biological message: you are safe. When the body comes into direct contact with natural elements, the nervous system begins to lower its stress response. The heart rate slows, breathing deepens, and the mind becomes less defensive. This isn't a vague emotional experience. It's a natural reaction hardwired into the human brain through thousands of years of evolution. The deepest effect of this habit lies in the sense of belonging. When you touch nature, even briefly, you remind your brain that you are not isolated, not alone, and not cut off from the world around you. That sense of connection soothes the mind, reduces hidden anxiety, and opens the door to a natural state of calm. By repeating this small habit daily, you gently return the nervous system to its original rhythm. In an increasingly artificial world, just a few seconds of contact with nature can be enough to remind you that you are part of something larger than yourself.
Habit 5. Posture shapes emotion. The body doesn't just reflect emotions, it quietly shapes them every day. When you're tired or discouraged, your posture tends to collapse, shoulders rounded, head lowered, shallow and rapid breathing. The brain reads this posture as a warning signal and unconsciously pulls your emotions even lower. But by changing your posture for just a few seconds, you can reverse the message your body sends to your brain. Adjusting posture is a direct, fast, and fully intentional intervention. No words, no positive thinking required. Simply stand or sit upright, gently open your shoulders, lift your head, and keep your breath steady. When the body opens, the brain receives a new signal. This body is stable. This body is okay. A confident posture isn't for showing others, it's for reprogramming your inner state. As you hold an open, upright posture, energy flows more freely, breathing deepens, and tension eases. The brain begins to adjust your emotional state to match the body, rather than letting negative emotions dictate your posture. What makes this habit powerful is that you can do it anywhere, anytime, while waiting, while working, before an important conversation, or when your energy dips. Just a few seconds of realignment can create an internal anchor that keeps you from being pulled under by your emotions. By practicing this small habit daily, you teach your brain something essential. Stability can be created from the outside in. In a world full of pressure, standing tall isn't just about posture. It's a reminder that you are still in command of yourself.
Habit 6. Acknowledge and name your emotions. Emotions that are not named tend to control us from the shadows. When you can't clearly identify what you're feeling, the brain slips into a vague state, uneasy without knowing why, anxious without knowing where to begin. This ambiguity creates fertile ground for negative emotions to repeat and grow stronger over time. The habit of acknowledging and naming your emotions is a way of bringing light into your inner world. You don't need to analyze, judge, or fix anything right away. Simply pause for a moment and say what's happening inside. I feel a little anxious. I'm disappointed. I feel grateful. Once an emotion is named, it's no longer an invisible, chaotic mass. Naming an emotion creates healthy distance between you and what you're feeling. Instead of being the emotion, you begin to observe it. The brain shifts from automatic reaction to conscious processing, which naturally reduces emotional intensity and interrupts negative thought loops. This mechanism has been widely documented in psychological research on emotion regulation. This habit is simple and deeply private. You can write a quick note, say it silently in your mind, or whisper it out loud the moment an emotion arises. No elegant wording is required, only honesty. That honesty tells the brain the emotion is being acknowledged, not ignored. By practicing this habit daily, you build emotional mastery rather than fighting your feelings. Emotions stop being enemies to avoid and become signals to be understood. When you name an emotion accurately, you reclaim leadership over your own mental state. Habit 7. Choose one thing not to do. Modern life trains us to do more every day, but rarely teaches us how to stop at the right moment. To-do lists keep growing, responsibilities pile up, and the brain stays locked in a constant state of not enough. This quiet overload slowly erodes any sense of lightness, no matter how hard you try. The habit of choosing one thing not to do is bold and deeply freeing. It doesn't require abandoning responsibility, only consciously deciding on one thing you can let go of today. Not checking social media again, not replying immediately to a non-urgent message, not taking on one more task beyond your capacity. When you intentionally do less, the brain receives a new signal. You don't have to stay braced all the time. Happiness isn't created only by adding more. It also comes from the space you leave empty. Every not doing decision releases invisible pressure from the mind. Instead of constantly reacting to the outside world, you reclaim the right to choose your own pace. This lightness doesn't come from avoidance, but from clarity in prioritization. This habit is simple, but it requires awareness. Each day, identify one thing that no longer truly matters and allow yourself to stop. No explanations, no perfection, just the understanding that you're creating breathing room for your mind.
Practiced daily, this habit trains the brain to understand that your value isn't measured by how much you do, but by how intentionally you live. In a world that constantly pushes forward, choosing to subtract is a profound form of freedom. Habit 8. Disconnect for 60 seconds. The human brain was never designed to process the non-stop stream of information we face today. Every notification, sound, and screen swipe pulls your attention out of the present moment, keeping the nervous system in a state of high alert. Even if you don't notice it, this overload quietly drains your mental energy day after day. The habit of disconnecting for 60 seconds is a short pause with deep restorative power. Just one intentional minute away from screens, notifications, and digital noise sends the brain a rare message. Nothing needs an immediate response right now. That brief moment is enough to break the chain of constant stimulation you're often trapped in. Practicing this habit is extremely simple. Place your phone face down, turn off the screen, close your eyes, or rest your gaze on a distant point. Do nothing else. No checking, no processing, just let the nervous system rest. This deliberate doing nothing allows the brain to exit overload mode and begin self-regulating again. The power of this 60-second pause isn't in the length of time, but in the choice. When you decide to stop, the brain learns that you are not controlled by devices or digital pace. Heart rate slows, breathing deepens, and tension gradually decreases. The nervous system returns to its natural balance. By repeating this small habit several times a day, you rebuild a healthier relationship with technology. In a world that demands instant response, 60 seconds of silence can become a safe space for your mind to recover and return to itself. Habit 9. Practice gratitude. Gratitude doesn't change what has happened, but it changes how the brain perceives the world in front of you. When you focus only on what's missing, the brain learns to find even more lack. When you intentionally notice what you already have, the nervous system shifts toward a state of safety, stability, and sufficiency. The habit of practicing gratitude is small, yet powerfully reprogramming. You don't need to feel happy before you feel grateful. Simply write down or say aloud 1 to 3 things you're grateful for each day. A warm meal, a full night's sleep, a moment of being heard. These simple details signal to the brain that life still contains solid ground. This habit is gentle and easy to sustain. You can practice it before going to bed or right after waking up. No long entries, no idealizing reality, just honesty. Over time, this repetition trains the brain to notice what's working instead of automatically scanning for problems. Psychological research consistently shows that gratitude increases overall well-being and happiness. It reduces stress, improves mood, and nurtures lasting contentment. More importantly, gratitude doesn't deny hardship. It simply prevents hardship from occupying your entire mental space. By maintaining this habit daily, you teach the brain an essential life skill, recognizing enoughness even when life isn't perfect. From that perspective, happiness stops being something to chase and becomes a state you can cultivate day by day. Habit 10. Small, conscious movement. The body was designed to move, yet modern life keeps us still for far too long. When you remain immobile for extended periods, energy stagnates, muscles tighten, and the brain gradually slips into lethargy. Fatigue doesn't always come from doing too much. Often it comes from staying in the same position for too long. The habit of small, conscious movement is the gentlest way to awaken the body's natural energy. No intense workouts, no sweating required. Simply stretch slowly, roll your neck, stand up and take a few steps, but do it with full awareness. Conscious movement doesn't just change posture, it sends a signal of alertness to the brain. This habit is simple and sustainable. Every 45 to 60 minutes of sitting, allow yourself a few seconds to pause and release the body. No special setup, no large space required. What matters is intentionally breaking prolonged stillness. The effects of these small movements run deeper than you might expect. They release trapped energy, improve circulation, ease tension, and naturally lift your mood. As the body moves, the brain becomes more flexible, clearer, and lighter. By practicing this habit daily, you train your body and mind to work together rather than against each other. In a world obsessed with productivity, allowing gentle movement is one of the most sustainable ways to preserve energy and long-term balance.
Happiness is a process you nurture every day. Happiness is not a distant destination. It is the result of small signals you send to your brain every day. The micro-habits you've just explored don't ask for dramatic life changes or extraordinary willpower. They require only a few seconds, practiced intentionally, and repeated long enough. Yet that is precisely what creates lasting internal shifts. The brain remains capable of rewiring throughout life, and it responds most strongly to small, consistent actions. Every slow breath, every tiny completion, every moment you pause to listen, smile, let go, or subtract what's unnecessary. These are the quiet building blocks of a positive emotional state over time. Not loud, not instant, but real and deep. The most important advice is this: don't start with too much. Choose one or two habits that feel most supportive right now and practice them until they become natural. Once the foundation is stable, you can gradually expand. Sustainability is always more powerful than short-lived intensity. The true value of these habits isn't in the techniques themselves, but in the message you send yourself every day. I am listening to my body. I respect my emotions. I have the right to slow down and care for my inner state. That gentle self-leadership is the core of long-term happiness. Happiness is not a rare moment to be hunted down. It is a process continuously nurtured through small, conscious, and patient actions every single day.